Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to talk about great leaders and building elite teams with two nationally known experts. Next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
All right, we've always heard the expression, you're a born leader. Well, yes, there are born leaders, but there are also people who need to learn to lead a team. There are so many engineers out there who are great at engineering, but suddenly they're running a company and they need to know how to manage a team and motivate a team. That's why I have this next show scheduled. It's Brandy Schade and Justin McCullough. They are both leadership experts. Thank you both for coming on my show.
Thank you for having us, Jeff.
Very cool. So, Brandy, you've been on my show before, so let's start with you. You have a Strengthology leadership company. Let's explain Strengthology.
Yeah, so Strengthology is where we dig deep into people's strengths, get to know them very intimately, and help them bring those strengths out and make really good decisions for themselves about where they should do work in this in the world, how they should use their strengths, and what is going to help them, where is going to help them be at their best.
Sure.
And
no, that makes sense. So if let's take that engineer that I talked about off the top of a show. An engineer is really good at the behind the scenes stuff. They're not necessarily in front of the camera person. Can you work with somebody who's behind the scenes and help them grow into that leader that they need to be?
Absolutely. They will have their own leadership style, even if, for example, they're an introverted engineer. And so what we want to do is discover their strengths, and we want to understand how to help them use those strengths and come through leadership through their own strengths in order to lead a team effectively.
Yes. Justin, let's talk about your company. And you worked in corporate America for a number of years.
Yes.
So tell me about your company.
Yeah, so RocketLeap really focuses on how does a leader make an impact? And really, one of the things I talk about most frequently is there's 3 journeys that every leader has: their journey, the team's journey, and then the business's journey. And we got to stitch all those things together. And that's a very unique and difficult process for a lot of people. And so what I like to help them do is understand how to gain clarity so they can make an impact and go to their next level based on those 3 journeys.
And we were talking before the show that there was that famous movie, A Beautiful Mind, and you have that beautiful mind when it comes to strategy. You could probably go into a restaurant tonight with me and instantly figure out 5 things they need to do to increase their bottom line.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'll just tell you the way my brain works. I think about it like this: there's either a problem, an opportunity, or a possibility. And that's the way we navigate the world that we live in. And anytime there's an opportunity or a possibility, the first thing we do is go, but the problem is. So we've got to be great at problem solving. Strategy always starts with a good problem.
All right, Brandy, let's start with your website. Let's put that on the screen so people can understand your business. And you and Justin will partner on different accounts. So as we put this on the screen, tell us about the clients that you like to work with.
Yeah, so I like to work with the most elite of the elite clients. I like to really get in there and dig in to see what they are having trouble with, because I think a lot of time that population is overlooked. And they're overlooked because they're already doing an amazing job, but they may feel like they need the support, they need the help, they need, they still want to get better at what they're doing. And so they need an effective coach to come in and say, look, if you change up a few things here and here and here, you can be even better than where you're at today. So I really enjoy that group of people.
And you're able to work with their C-suite to see, okay, this person needs a little help in this area. And so tell us how you engage companies.
Yeah, so we assess the individuals to really understand where they are shining and then what areas could potentially have some improvements. But we also find out what the leaders, where they want to improve, because if they want to improve in certain areas, let's start let's start there and help them rise up to the occasion of where they want to be. And then we can work on some of the other things. A lot of times you're going to get what's called a 360 review. And in that 360 review, your peers are saying, yes, they're great here, here, and here, but we would like to see them improve here. And usually at that elite level, they're very open to that coaching.
Justin, we're going to pull up your website. They always say that people don't quit companies, they quit bad bosses. And so I can see how necessary you are in the equation, because, a leader could be well-intentioned, but they could be doing a dozen different things that chase off great employees.
Yeah, that's right. Whenever we're dealing with companies that are using that $1 to $20 million range, what we find most often is a little bit of an identity crisis with the leader. Are they an entrepreneur? Are they an expert turned CEO? Are they actually a CEO trying to navigate a board of directors or bankers? So there's a lot of confusion if they haven't come out of like a corporate environment where they've had a lot of training. And so what I love to do is come in with these leaders who are building thriving, growing companies and really get that clear. Who are you as the CEO? Who is the leadership team? How do you build that leadership team if the best you've got is maybe some managers and you're building them up at that $1 million range, versus when you're at $20 million, you're trying to make that next big jump and you're hiring a totally different kind of person who has a different set of skills to bring to the table. And so then the leader has to navigate, oh my gosh, I'm hiring people smarter than me. What do I do now?
And Justin gives away the gold. You can go to his YouTube channel and find dozens and dozens of videos. Here's one of my favorites.
Ask good questions. If you're a small business owner and a leader and you're not leading through the questions you ask, and instead you're leading through the answers you provide, then you're only halfway on your journey to your best version of yourself as a leader, as an entrepreneur, and as somebody who makes an impact, not only because of their own actions, but the impact they can make through others. We have got to ask our team good questions so that they can rise to those questions, be a part of the answers. As they are a part of the answers, they enroll in those answers and they become higher performers based on the question. If we just show up with the answer and we're always the one with the answer, they'll sit around and wait for you to show up with the answer, because you have trained them that they're not good enough and they're not capable of rising to the question and being able to do the work and figuring it out.
All right, Justin, a little bit more on that, like building a cohesive team. It's almost like a championship football team. I mean, we have all these different players who have different strengths. You can throw together the best players in the league, but if they're not playing well together, that team will lose.
Yeah, that's right. A team that works well together has figured out really how to communicate well, work collaboratively, and they have a focus on results. And I think the trick to that is that they realize that they're in a safe environment where there's psychological safety and it's okay to fail. This is one of the things that are the biggest unlocks for leaders today is we don't need perfection, we need progress. And we need to create an environment where these mistakes can occur so that they're perpetually learning by real experiences. Because if we do a lot of posturing and we do a lot of image management, what happens is our team doesn't want to take those bold moves. And there's two big things that we're always getting our teams to focus on. What's the build move and how do we remove drag? So the drag is all the anchors that hold us back from our greatest success. So these are things that really we need to cut ties and overcome. And then the build moves are big, ambitious ideas. And so we want to train our team that they can remove the drag. They can do the big, bold moves. So that's a real big part of how do they shift as an identity of an elite team that makes the most important work done without the CEO always having to control it, do it, act on it themselves.
All right, Brandy, let's talk a little bit about empathy, because, when I was growing up, I'm a baby boomer. It was my way or the highway. The answer was because I said so, and that doesn't play well with the Gen Zs. So leaders have to change to meet the new employee, don't they?
Yeah, it's not just the Gen Zs, but I think everybody operates better when they feel like they're cared about, when they feel like they're valued and their emotions are accepted and acceptable, because we are human, we have emotions. So the more that we embrace that and we work with, not against the flow of the emotions, but with the flow of the emotions,
yes,
and let people know that we see them and that they matter and that they're valuable, then they're going to just have a much better response to you than if we're ignoring that completely.
All right, staying with you, Brandy, for a minute, the importance of listening, because I know a lot of CEOs and bosses, they schedule a meeting with an employee who's acting up or not performing well. They've come up with their entire narrative, but I always learn more from listening. Talk about the importance of allowing the employee to express their feelings.
I think just hearing that, I would want to work for you, Jeff, because if I knew I was being heard and listened to, instead of, hey, you did this wrong, why didn't you do this? Out of the gate, having somebody criticize me and not even give me a shot at telling them why it happened, where it came from. Let me help paint the picture. And also, I want my employer to assume that I have good intent.
Yes.
And that I want to do a good job and I want to be high performing. So, if you come out the gate with, hey, what happened? Is there anything I can do to support you?
Yes.
Is there anything I can do to help you? Because I know that was a huge hit for you.
Yes.
And I don't want to see you have to go through that again. I'm all in with that employer.
Justin, why don't you piggyback on that? Because I know I've had conversations where I said, okay, don't talk, Jeff, just listen. And I'm much smarter after 30 minutes of listening to the employee than I would have been if I just started talking. So weigh in on that.
Yeah, seek first to understand, then be understood, right? That's a big sort of rally phrase to come back to, is how do we seek first to understand what it is that our employee has to say? When I do one-on-ones with my employees, one of the things that I like to really help foster that is I say, look, when we do one-on-ones in our regular cadence, that's for you. This is your time for you to bring what matters most. And I typically walk them through what I call the 4 core questions, which is, tell me what's working, tell me what's not working, tell me what are your biggest blockers and challenges and what's most important right now. And I'm actively listening for what it is that's in the way of their success and what it is that I can come in and help champion. Remember, because we don't want to be heroes to them. Yeah. Right? Like, we don't want to solve all the problems for them. We want to help them get the means they need to solve their own problems. And so the best way to do that was with these 4 core questions in a one-on-one environment. And I found that to be an excellent way to unlock our staff and make them feel seen, heard, and understood.
Staying with you for a second. So like the CEO of GM could learn something by just going down on the line and talking to the factory worker and saying, tell me about your job. Tell me where we could be better. I mean, because often the CEO and the person on the assembly line are 15 layers apart.
Yeah, structurally they are, right? But in terms of humanity, they're not, right? We're all getting up every day going to work. And I think the real big difference is that CEO who walks the line is asking questions about what's happening with customers, what's happening with the staff, what's happening with the gear that you get to use. What do you know that we don't know that we should be paying attention to? They're having a totally different conversation because they're looking to build value, not only with the top line value, right? Stakeholder value. But when that CEO is willing to walk the line, what he's really saying is, I care about you. And what am I missing whenever it comes to the job you're doing and the product you're building or in the services you're offering? Because at the end of the day, we're all in business to have a great service for our customers and to have an employee that really wants to be here. Because in a modern environment where we have knowledge workers, we don't have a knowledge problem anymore. Right? We have a people problem, and it just occurs over and over and over again. So your point about we don't leave jobs, we leave bosses is so on point. So you got to be the kind of boss now that shows up and really listens to what they have to say and helps them grow and flourish, because it helps you grow and flourish.
Okay, we're almost out of time, so I want to give you both a chance to give final thoughts. We'll start with you, Brandy.
I'd like to follow up on that if you really care about the people that you work with and you say, why do you come to work here at this company? What is it that you want to get out of this above and beyond just getting paid the salary? Are you here to pay your children's tuition? Are you here to buy a new car or a new home? Are you trying to educate yourself and go up the ladder? What is it? Because if we as employers understand exactly what our people are there for, then we can help them get there. And they're going to give us 120% their loyalty and stick with us when we need them to stick with us through the hard times.
Profound. Justin, you get the last word.
I would just say that now more than ever, we are so used to building our own sort of trophy cabinets. And if we flip that around and say we've got 10 great people in our organization, how do we fill their trophy cabinets instead of trying to fill our own? What we'll find is a huge unlock with growing our business, growing our teams, and ultimately serving better customers. And I think that's the best way to show that you love people and you want to create value in the marketplace.
Outstanding. You guys have been amazing guests. We're going to end with both of your websites. We're going to start with yours, Brandy. It's Strengthology Leadership Consulting.com. And finally, Justin's, which is RocketLeap.co. Thank you both for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.